for show.
Yes, you know it already. Those of you who have been around here for a while, you know it already. I missed a button. I had the wrong scene on OBS. Good morning. It is 9 a.m., 9:01 a.m. It just turned August 5th, 2024 on a Monday. Good morning to you all. I'm going to start with channel comments. Let's do that. Brian Rabideau says, I can't see the key. This is from the video, How to Upgrade Windows 10 Home to Windows 10 Pro. And Brian, I'm going to go over to that video. I'm assuming the place you couldn't see the key is that you didn't realize it's down here in the description of the video, or maybe you didn't recognize which is the key. This one is a link to a list of generic product keys for Windows 10, and here's a link for generic product keys for Windows 11. Did I say product keys? Product keys. You click on those links and that should take you to the product keys. Let's see if they are actually there. Here's the product keys for Windows 10. I did not check on this before this morning's show time to see if they were both there. Let's see, that was Windows 10. So then let's go to Windows 11, make sure that that link is still functional. Yeah, there's the product keys for, you need to pick the temporary product key or generic product key for the version of Windows that you're using. So I will send a link to Brian to this point in the video. And Brian, if that doesn't solve it for you, then give me a reply and clarify your question a little bit more. Why can you not see it? I'm going to assume that your vision is okay. Maybe you can give me something more to work on. We're here every day, 6 days a week, Brian, and you can send me an email, or you could reply to my reply to your comment to, find the answer to your question. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and Saturdays, 11 a.m. Pacific time. I think that's all I need to say to Brian. So I'll give him a thumbs up and a heart and reply after today's show. Then I need to get back to channel comments.
John Williams said, hello, Doug and chat.
Hello, John Williams. Now let's get back to, here I am. This is it. So the next one. Matthew Barnes, who's a regular around here, says, well done, Doug, on the fix. I will say in defense to HP, this laptop looks like it was quite high-end laptop in its day, so it has a longer feasible life than a $300 laptop from 14 years ago. This was from Saturday's show, which is doing really well, by the way. I changed the thumbnail and changed the title on it so it would turn up in search results for people who are, interested in that Bluetooth problem. And let's see, what else did to say about that? I didn't notice what it was about that laptop that indicated it was high-end, and I'm suspecting it was the CPU that caused them to think that, or maybe something else. But for their purposes, Jim and Maggie, that laptop is just fine. There's somebody doing a Victor, which gives different Dougs doing different things. So Matthew Barnes gets a thumbs up and a heart. I don't need to reply with a timestamp because he watches the videos frequently enough that he'll catch that. Then I'm going to go over to Held for Review. Got some interesting things here. Well, this one, Marco Digits. I haven't reread this again for a little while, so let me expand that and try to get that positioned better. Yeah, there we're seeing the whole thing. This was from a Windows Daily Helpline 482, and that would have been, I don't know, sometime last week. Windows Daily, gosh, no. Once in the 5-year, I could handle it. Daily Windows? The thought of it alone could cause me a panic attack. Tedious clicking through banners, menus, tabs, pop-ups, So-called guiding wizards, the hell of advanced and compact views. Know that you. Well, and there's a couple grammar issues in here. It's not an operating system. It's a viral headache that's screaming in your brain for attention. Marco, you sound like a Windows hater. I'm going to guess that you like Linux very much is probably what you're into. Because mostly it's Linux people that come out with that much hate. Um, could be Apple, I suppose. Did you even watch my video? Or do you just go around to Windows channels just putting out these kind of hate comments? Marco, I want to challenge you and let you know that whether you're Apple or Linux, you would be welcome around here unless that's all you can do. If all you can do is spew the hate, then no, we'll get tired of you very quickly. But here's something I'd like, whether you're Windows or whether you're Linux or Apple, can you come up with any viable replacement for Windows in the business environment? I would not mind that. I, I, Microsoft has done a lot of things wrong, but every company does things wrong. There is no perfect tool out there. Windows is a tool, just as Linux is, just as Apple is. They all have their shining moments, things that they do well, and just like a toolbox. Your toolbox may have hammers and screwdrivers and pliers, and if the hammer can't get along with the pliers and it keeps jumping out of the toolbox because it doesn't like the other tools, then the person who's using the tools can't do as much. Currently, Windows is the predominant operating system in business environment, and there is no significant challenger that I can see. I have been through an industry transition before. When I started as a computer consultant, we were working with DOS and Novell NetWare for networks. Windows 3.0, the Windows GUI interface, was just barely breaking ground when I started professionally working as a computer consultant. I was a certified NetWare engineer, Novell NetWare. Marco, I suspect you don't even know the word. You've got to be younger than that. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, that was the thing back then. And then Windows came along and the whole industry, including myself, transitioned to it. If some viable competition comes along for Windows, hey, that'll be fine. But Linux isn't anywhere close. Linux has all these different distros, and you use the distro that is going to serve the purposes that you want to use the computer for. It's almost like the different Linux distros are purpose-built for a certain realm of functionality. I would like to know if there's any business operating today that has normal end users who don't even understand what an operating system is. Have they been successfully transitioned from Windows to Linux or even Mac? Now, I have had clients, particularly in the law environment, which was surprising, that were Mac shops, Mac offices, but that was always because the senior partner, senior attorney was already comfortable with Mac, not comfortable with Windows when he opened his business or her business. And they went forward with Windows, and that was fine. In the law office, if you start out your office with with Mac, you can make that business model work. But yeah, we're not anywhere near that. So Marco, if you're able to come around here and talk like a reasonable adult and have conversations, you would be welcome. So I am going to approve that comment. And that just moves them over onto the approved page. See, I got to make this screen just is not very convenient. Shave 999. I would like approval for the chat room. Kind of thrilled about this kind of community. Oh man, that is a wonderful comment. I love that, love that, love that. I'm going to approve this comment. Now on this screen, I can't actually approve Shave for the chat room. We'll get to that in a minute. That just takes them off of this held for review screen. Mr. Fun Seeker, I recognize that name. I know I've seen you somewhere. I don't know what channel I know you from. Maybe you have another channel that you've been here with a slightly similar name. I don't know. Approval for the chat room. So I approved that comment. Now I've got to go back over here to the published page. And then for Marco Digits, I will approve you. Always approve comments from this user. So hopefully we'll have some more conversation with you, and maybe you can come in and interact on a more adult level than just bashing. I'm sorry, Windows is the predominant operating system, regardless of what you say. So hopefully you come around, you'd be welcome, as long as you can be civil. Brian saying you can't see the key. Let's see, all I got to do, his response like, oh, I've got to refresh this page to see those others that I approve the comments. They should show up on here. Yeah, there we go. Shave, approval for the chat room. So I will always approve. So Shave, if you're watching right now, you should be able to chat in the chat room right now. I'm not going to do the thumbs up and heart just yet, because after the show, it's probably going to be later this afternoon, I'll reply to your comment with a link to this point in the video. Mr. Funseeker, also, if you are watching right now, you should be able to speak in the chat room now. And Brian Rabideau, not asking for approval for the chat room, but I know that you're not a troll, so I will make you approved for the chat room as well. Okay. Let's see. They'll go over here. I just caught out of the corner of my eye, Jim KJ3N NetWare. That brings back memories. He ran 3.12, 4, 5, and 6.5 at home over the years. I want Novell NetWare 2. I think I'm remembering that I had Novell NetWare 2 dot something when I started. I'm not sure. I do remember these numbers. 6.5, I think by that time we had mostly transitioned away from it. Greg M used Novell NetWare, had an engineer from Utah. I think that is. One winter to solve an issue with one of their server boxes we had. No, UT. What is that? Oh, is this going to be a list of, Linux adopters? Okay, well, that doesn't mean that the entire office used Linux. Just maybe it's an approved operating system so that people within the organization can use Linux. But did they transition normal end users to Linux instead of Windows? Now, if that's in there, maybe you could give me something more specific in there. But Linux adopters, that just is basically saying that their staff are allowed to use it. That doesn't necessarily mean that they transitioned normal end users to it. If that is in there, then let me know. But I'm not going to have the time to read through it looking for that. Okay, then I'm going to get over here to, well, let's talk a little bit about Saturday's show. Let's get over here. Saturday's show is doing really well in after show attention. 348 views. That's a lot of views for one of my Saturday shows. One of my Saturday shows. Let's see if I go search titles for Windows Helpline, because that's the unique thing about the Saturday show title. We'll see how 348 compares with other Saturday shows. 100, 103, 81, 141, 189. There's one down here that's 248. I think that's the largest in recent history. So that's showing pretty good. And if I go look at analytics for it, you can see that it's still...
Martin Hogg said, Doug, what would happen if you said, Alexa, are you always listening?
This one is still showing a pretty good trajectory. So Martin says, what would happen if you said, okay, here we go. Here we go. Well, I'm not going to say the word ALEXA because that may trigger some other people's Amazon Echo device. If I push the button here, that's the same as saying the name. So let's see what he says. Are you always listening?
I'm designed to protect your privacy. On Echo devices, you'll always know when Alexa is listening to your request and sending it to Amazon's secure cloud. Just look for the blue light indicator or listen for an audio tone. Learn more by visiting amazon.com/Alexa privacy.
All right, Martin, there's your answer. That's what would happen. I don't know if that meant anything to you. Well, something that I'm kind of surprised with, as many views as this is getting, the thumbnail is only 1.4% click-through rate. That doesn't make sense to me, because the pattern that I have seen is I need a click-through rate of like 4 or 5% to see these kind of view numbers. So I'm not quite sure how that is still getting so many views. It must be that there's a higher number of impressions for it to be getting this number of views. Well, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole further right now. But that is how it is doing. I've got some emails that came in. Commendatore sent in an email, and I'm not sure if I'm cleared to give his actual name, so I'm concealing that from this email, and I'm not going to scroll this screen until I take it off screen. It says, "Hello, dear sir. Here, Commendatore, asking for help. It's been a while, sir. Hope you're doing okay." I am. Thank you so much for asking. My problem is updating my BIOS. It's all in the HP Support Assistant program app. It's about the following update: HP firmware pack, Intel processors, yada yada. This package provides an update to the system BIOS. The update installs on supported notebook models using a supported Microsoft Windows operating system. Restart the system to complete the installation. Now I will send you a screenshot that will tell you far more than typing the whole story here. I hope that you can help me out with this, because all of this is far too complicated for me. I'm just a layman
Martin
with
Holt
Windows,
said,
etc.
"Thanks, that means yes."
Waiting for that. There, thanks, that means yes. Okay, you're welcome. I guess that was related to that Amazon Echo question. Now let's go let me get to his picture, if this thing will stop messing up on me while I have that off screen. Yeah, then, yeah, here's a little bit more to his text. "I don't know what to do with it, which option to choose." And then that warning sign about this BitLocker, "I'm confused about it. Greetings from Commendatore." And I'm going to open this picture and be sure that it is clear. Yeah, it is. Make it bigger. So here's got HP BIOS update and recovery. Now I'm thinking these Windows, this looks like a Windows 11. I'm thinking it's got a Windows 11 home computer. Windows BitLocker drive encryption, BDE, is enabled on your system using TPM security. HP requires that BDE be suspended temporarily during BIOS update. Could be Windows 11 Pro. To prevent the loss of the encryption key. Also highly recommended to verify that you have a backup BitLocker recovery key before continuing. To allow this utility to suspend BitLocker, continue BIOS updating, BitLocker protection will be... Now this doesn't say anywhere device encryption. On Windows 11 Home, it's typically called device encryption rather than BitLocker drive encryption. So perhaps this is Windows 11 Pro. But in either case, the evidence is telling us here that the drive is encrypted and you need to unencrypt it or decrypt it before doing this BIOS update. Now, if you click OK here, there's a cancel button. This was in, what is it? Dutch, Danish, something like that. There's the cancel button. If you click OK here, the implication is that it will automatically suspend BitLocker to do the BIOS update. So it's implying that that would be okay. I would resist doing that, advise you not to do that unless you have a recent verified image backup of your drive. Even better is if you weren't aware that you had BitLocker enabled, which I suspect is the case since you don't really understand this message. Your computer probably automatically did drive encryption when you bought it, perhaps from it's HP, right? Yeah. So HP Windows 11 comes with BitLocker automatically partially enabled. If you log into a Microsoft account, it will complete that encryption and it should store that encryption key in your Microsoft account. So I would want you also to verify that you have that BitLocker key in your Microsoft account before proceeding with this. And if you don't need BitLocker, which I suspect is the case, because you're not aware of it being there or what it is, I think, I would prefer that you actually disable BitLocker, because BitLocker in place when you don't really need it can cause you some grief down the road. So if you're interested in pursuing that, let me know and reply, and we'll work with you through that. Now, this picture is a few days old. So this is not, it sounds like this is not a critical issue for you to get this done right away, this BIOS update. Is there a reason, an urgent reason for this BIOS update? Decrypting the drive is not difficult. So, and you can even Google that and just go down that road yourself if that is sufficient for you. I will get over here to chat and see what you're saying. Zavi Minora says, chat, Windows 11 on HP laptop, maybe it's just activated but not complete. That is possible as well. I don't know when you get to the point of doing a BIOS update and getting this message, if that even happens during partially complete. If you go into, yeah, I should be able to bring that up here on Big Beast. Windows key and then just encryption should be enough. Yeah, go to data encryption or manage BitLocker. Manage BitLocker would be the better choice. Now, it's not going to say that if you're Windows 11 Home, because Windows 11 Home doesn't call it BitLocker, it calls it device encryption. It essentially is BitLocker under the covers, but it's a little bit different. So in this screen right here, you should be able to just turn off BitLocker. If the encryption is complete, it's probably going to ask you to sign in, enter your...
Jim K3N said my Windows Home laptop had encryption partially enabled from the factory.
Yeah, that is routine. I've seen that with every major manufacturer. New Windows 11 Home or Windows 11 Pro comes with BitLocker partially enabled, and if you sign in to a Microsoft account, it will complete that. Now, I haven't actually experienced that or tested that, but that's my understanding of what it will do. So anyway, if it's partially enabled, you'll see that in this area where it's telling you to sign into your Microsoft account to complete encryption. And you can just click on this screen an option to turn off BitLocker. It'll take a little bit of time for it to complete that, but not a lot. If your encryption is complete, it will take longer for it to turn BitLocker off. So you should not do that if you're needing to use the computer within the next half hour or even 2 or 3 hours, depending upon how much content you have on that drive. So let's see how that, I think that's enough answer. Who brought Danish? Speaking of views, shot in the dark, it may be because people might be switching back to AMD. Overall, AMD motherboards are coming back. No, the encryption thing is just the major manufacturers, Windows 11 Home or Pro comes partially enabled, encryption partially enabled. That is the way it is these days. Not true with a fresh install of Windows 11 on a custom-built computer, or even with Windows 11 fresh install on a major manufacturer computer, but doing it from a Microsoft Windows 11 installation media. If you reset the laptop back to manufacturer operating system, it'll go back, I believe, to the partially enabled encryption. Yeah, that was Commendatore. I have also email from Aiden Standing. I'll acknowledge that I have an email from Tim Cruz about the Intel issues. I'm not going down that road. Aiden Standing. Now, this isn't actually a pending question, but he's telling us about some interactions with a client of his about a computer. And he says, just had a rather interesting text conversation. By the time you read this, I will probably already have a look at this laptop in question, even if it just ends up being disabling browser notifications. The client says, well, bring my Dell laptop around as something seems to be wrong. Can you have a look at it? Aiden replies, what's it doing or not doing? I'm going to scroll that down off screen. It suddenly keeps saying about McAfee being expired and Russia trying to gain access or something. Switch it off until I bring it around. We'll bring it after work tomorrow. That sounds to me like it's the fake infection pop-ups. And when you shut the computer off and now you turn it on, it's probably going to be completely clean with no infections, nothing happened at all, as long as he didn't click on anything on the screen and as long as he didn't call the phone number. Now, the client here doesn't ever say anything about a phone number. So not totally certain that it's one of the fake infection messages. Aiden says, a message I sent is not shown here. So there's a message missing between these communications. And then here it kept saying about McAfee and something about someone in Russia trying to access my computer, then kept trying to open some site or other when I told it to go away. So that's probably going to place trying to get him to call a phone number. Sounds like it might be a phishing attempt via browser push notifications. Could be a phishing attempt. I'm more inclined to think that it's the pop-up fake infection messages. When he turns the computer off, turns it on again, there will be no evidence of it, except in browser history. If you go browser history, you'll probably see some indications of those fake infection messages. If it went to another screen and asked him to sign in, implying his Microsoft account or any other account, then it's trying to that would be a phishing attempt, trying to capture his credentials. Laptop is switched off until you have a look. I hope it's switched off. They can't access anything. True. When the computer's off, the bad people can't access anything. Unfortunately, I can't share any more of the conversation. Now I don't think that's my last email from Aiden. Yeah, here we go. Let's get here. This one doesn't expose his email address, just his name, and his name is the same there as it is when he's on his YouTube channel. Had a bit more of a conversation with him about the laptop. The decision has been made to replace it due to another issue I was recently informed about. This implies to me, and I think it was the case, that we're not going to get any more follow-up about the messages that were on screen because they're just going to go ahead and replace it, it looks like. To be honest, I think I would soon need to replace the Dell anyway, as it needs to stay plugged in a lot. When it's switched on, it randomly turns itself off without a warning at times. See how far down I can scroll. All right. Probably a combination of aging this is Aiden's reply. Probably a combination of an aging battery and maybe also overheating. If it got dropped at all in the past, that can cause issues with the cooling system. All computers have a protection function where it will shut itself off if it gets too hot. True that. Usually without an error or warning appearing. Maybe, maybe not warning appearing. It'll slow itself down to a crawl to help with the cooling. And it is a laptop. So do we have a Tim Cruz thing going on here where this laptop is on a soft surface where the intake for the cooling system is blocked? So that could be an issue as well. The battery could be overheating itself as it's not able to charge and discharge properly. It can be overheating, causing heat to the issues to the computer. But I think likely, hey, if they're willing to get a new computer, yeah, just run with it, right? The client is saying, I think it's just the battery. It won't switch itself off randomly. If it's plugged in, weirdly, it doesn't always have to be, this is weird. It doesn't always have to be switched on at the wall. So this was an electrical outlet that has a corresponding switch. The switch could be turned off. He's saying it just has to have the lead plugged into the laptop and plugged in the wall. No idea why. I'm suspecting that might be not quite the physical truth of it. It's what they think. Seems unlikely. I should mention that most electrical outlets where I am have switches on the outlet to allow the connected equipment to be turned off without removing the plug. This is one of the ones they asked me about. Oh, as far as a replacement computer. All right. So some of you are going to get triggered. Some of you are going to be triggered by this and just be all upset. So let me give spoiler alert. I doubt that this is going to happen. Client asks, what's a cloud book apart from the obvious? What is the obvious of a cloud? What's the obvious response to what a cloud book is? Obvious. It's a book about clouds. Page after page, it's teaching you about clouds. Would that be an obvious? What's an obvious cloud book? I don't know. Microsoft 365 includes a 12-month subscription to Microsoft 365 Personal. The ad says, buy HP 11 and such and such NA, Celeron, 4 gigabytes RAM. HP 11, that's presuming Windows 11, 4 gigabytes RAM, 4 gigabyte storage drive, cloud book. 11, doesn't say they're S mode. Oh, here's the link. Let's go copy link address. Bring chat up. Call it cloud book. And then I'll bring it up. Let's see, cookies, continue and accept about this product. Let's see if I search, I don't want to search just for the letter S. S mode? No, doesn't say that. I'm going to be kind of short on willingness to read through this in much detail.
Chris Garrett said, why waste money on that junk?
Yeah, I am pretty sure Aiden will be steering them away from that. But I do have a suggestion for Aiden. Unfortunately, they have a very limited budget, so options for new are essentially S mode or Chromebook. I've already warned them to avoid that second option, the second option of Chromebook. Well, maybe we'd also like to steer clear of S mode. Buying used or refurbished won't be ideal. I disagree with that, but let me explain why.
Jim KJ3 in said Windows S mode is for horribly underpowered hardware.
This looks like horribly underpowered hardware to me. As I have known eBay sellers to sell laptops with unsupported Windows 11 installs, and they want something that will last a few years. How about refurbished off of Amazon? I have bought a lot of refurbished computers off of Amazon and been very happy with them. I would not trust eBay sellers. Now, when you do that off of Amazon, you can search for refurbished Windows 11 computers and read the comments. Always read the reviews from people, especially refurbished. Here's Windows 11 laptop. What else do I want to? Let's just say refurbished. And then let's see what it feature. Sort by price, low to high. $79, $99. There's a lot of choices in those low dollar amounts. They typically will say renewed in the description. And when you go, you want to pay attention to the number of stars. I'm not clicking on this particular one for any particular reason, but just pointing out, go look at the comments. Of course, read all the specs about it, because after reaching out to the manufacturer, they're going to say it's going to cost such and such. So there's some fair number of stars. Cheap, of course, you'd be expecting that in these low ends, but I just want to encourage you to consider the road of Amazon refurbished with a seller that has
Chris
some
Garrett said I am waiting on Debbie.
credibility. Yeah, Chris, I'm not going to comment because I got no idea what you're talking about. Just had a rather let's see, get down. Just had a rather interesting text conversation. By the time you read this, I'll probably have a look
Chris
at the
Garrett said
already did
Hurricane
that
Debbie's.
one. Already did that. Hurricane Debbie. Oh, Hurricane Debbie's coming to you, to your neighborhood. All right. Well, that just shows how much I don't follow weather news across the country. There's just too much of that. Oh, here's one I got to show you. Let's scroll away from the email address. Got a really nice email from Jim and Maggie from Saturday. Thank you so much, Jim and Maggie, if you're watching. Good morning, Doug. Jim and I would like to thank you so much for your expertise and time yesterday. You have a giving heart. We so appreciate you and your followers that were on chat and the Zoom call. You are a blessing from the Lord. Everything is working and doing fine. We so appreciate it and you appreciation and caring thoughts. Maggie and Jim. So I want to share that with you all because that was to all of us for the help that we gave them on Saturday. We need more of that kind of Saturday experience, connecting remotely to a computer and finding the solution. Don't get enough people requesting that kind of assistance. I do not have any redirects set up. I'm going to take a quick run through chat to particularly for the ones that have highlighted me. Hello, Richard Rogers. And I will get through more of these in more detail later. A lot of these are chat between people, and that was from me. That was to Chris. Okay, that looks good. I'll read through that later. And let's hit that button, hit this button, and then say goodbye to the peoples. Looking at my buttons to make sure I push the right one. Here we go. You can watch this video, how to get free support on this channel. You can watch this video, see how to get paid support from me directly. And I'm going to depart from what I am normally doing and say that I saw this video that somebody suggested in chat, Manic Monday. That's going to give me a new show, a new trailer, or a new bumper for Mondays, or trailer.